With a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ankush Johar right here on this stage for his session on mitigating the two biggest risks in cybersecurity, emails and humans.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible. Thank you very much Rafida for inviting me here. It's an honor to present here. I think very highly of the group, and I'm here from London to come and present in front of you. Very quick introduction. In fact, I'll begin by asking you this question. Who here believes that humans are the weakest link in cybersecurity? Show of hands. That's it? Sir? You don't think humans are the weakest link in cybersecurity?
We want to freeze manual intervention as far as possible to make it cyber and digital.
Fabulous, fabulous point. But, so there are 22 layers of security technologies that are currently available. And despite that, you see that attacks do tend to come in. Humans are the weakest link in cybersecurity. I'll share a statistic with you. And that is that out of 100 data breaches that happened in 2017, the Verizon 2018 report says that 93% of them, so if 100 happened, 93 were caused at the human layer. Only 7% were technology. This number used to be at 91%. So in 1 year, that number has gone from 91 to 93. Again, a show of hands of who thinks email is the largest attack vector today. It is. And do you know why it is? Because it's very cheap to deploy. It's cheap to deploy. In fact, I'll be doing a live demonstration in front of you. In the meantime, I'm hoping one of you will have the courage to say, yes, I think my email is secure. And with your permission, I will show you something. It will not cause any harm, but you'll enjoy that demonstration. Brief introduction about myself. I'm a member of the United Nations body on telecom. I've worked with over 500 telecom operators, the company that I created 17 years ago. I work on the standards of IoT, and I work on security standards with the ITU. I'm also a venture capitalist in the area of information security. I've invested in bugsbounty.com, which is the 4th ever bug bounty platform in the world. Also the largest community of ethical hackers outside of the United States today. I'm also an investor in Human Firewall and Email Auth. Very quick look at what our portfolio looks like. There's more elements there, but that's not relevant. Let's get to the main thing. Email and humans. These are the two biggest risks. Do you know the largest and the most attacked organization in Europe is the tax office in the UK? Why? Unlike here, where we have about 6 million people who are paying taxes, that number is 6 crore Indians who are paying taxes. That number is much larger there. Every single taxpayer's data is resident on the HMRC. They call it a fancy name for the tax office. Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs Department holds all taxpayer data. Second, in the name of hmrc.gov.uk, so HMRC is also the most phished brand, phished organization in Europe. There are only 62 million people in the country, in UK, and there are over 500 million emails that are sent in the name of hmrc.gov.uk. Emails that bear the word hmrc.gov.uk itself. Not HNRC, but hmrc.gov.uk. The guy who protected that for 8 years, the CISO of HMRC, approached us and he said, look, as a practitioner, I've faced these two massive problems and I think I have a solution. He says, as I worked, I basically kept dreaming about how I'm going to solve these two problems, which I mitigated, and I want to offer these as products. His pitch was fantastic. In fact, elements of what I'm going to present to you were part of the pitch that he presented to me when he approached me for the investment. One big risk is if you're a bank, so let's live with the bank as the example. One is the external risk, which is a bank sending an email out to Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, and others, and saying that your password has been reset or your password, multiple login attempts were made, and you need to change your password. And the email comes from the actual domain of the bank. Show of hands here who knows that spoofing is child's play. I'm going to be showing it to you, right? One of you brave enough to offer their domain if you think you're secure? Show of hands. Go on. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to do this live in front of you. So you said, sir, it was mdasif.com. What I'm going to do is asif@mdasif.com. I'm going to do a real check to see. So I'm doing a non-penetrative test. I'm just querying this domain. Have I got it correctly? Okay. So I'm doing a very simple DNS check. This is how easy. You can't see my screen, can you? Hold on. Okay, so if you can see my screen now, I did a very simple check. So I did a very simple check that any hacker can do right now. And after I did this check, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send an email from Mohammed Asif. And I'm going to send this, Asif, do you have a Gmail address?
It is asif.0542.
Asif.054.
242. 0542.
0542 at gmail.com. I'm going to mark myself in CC here. And we'll say Asif calling Asif. Who here has seen that movie, Karthik Calling Karthik? Yeah? So this is Asif writing an email to himself saying, this is your alter ego speaking. Right? I wish somebody from a bank had raised their hand. It would have been more exciting, yeah? But Asif, let's have fun here. Asif, if you open your Gmail now, you will see that you have written an email to yourself. What I'm going to do is, if there was a camera here, I could have shown you that this email would have arrived. When I sent this email, I actually highlighted to you two very major risks. The first risk
Actually, I got it from a different address. It is ND Asif instead of MD.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's a typo.
Let me correct that for you. Just as soon as, because I can hardly see my own screen here, so did I do ND? Is it
Yes, sir.
MD now? If you guys can see it. Let me actually shift this to myself first because I can't see it there. Yeah, it's MD Asif now, so I'm just going to send this email now. Okay, it's back, and there we are. Now I operate ethically, otherwise I could have shown you that I can do the same thing from the pmo.gov.in. I can do this. Earlier today I was sitting with somebody from the government and it's possible to do it with that domain as well, surprisingly.
It's correct this time.
Is it MD Asif now?
Yes.
Very good. Do a reply all. When you do a reply all, I'll receive a copy, which I'll showcase, and you will receive a copy on your mdasif.com as well. That will prove the point that I did not hack into, or I did not do ND Asif or RD Asif, it was mdasif.com itself. I will show you something here as well, which is, I would have received the email as well. That's MD Asif. Asif calling Asif. And here is another interesting thing, which is that when I do a show original, you'll see that the SPF and DKIM has been passed as well. Not only has, I showed it to you in 2 minutes, it's as easy as I've done it right now. You have at least, if not more, 10,000 servers that are sitting there with port 25 open. The problem statement is that you can do this with absolutely any. Are you guys familiar with the Raspberry Pi? The 4,000 rupee small device? Yeah, the mini computer. You can open up a port 25 on that and start sending email. If there's enough bandwidth, you can send up to 6 million emails in a day. I've already done the live demonstration because I'm running against time and I want to cover a fair amount of stuff with you. I will move slightly faster. Here's the problem. Currently, what you're able to see is genuine emails. What you're not able to see is rogue emails in your name. So the problem statement here was that I sent an email with the name of mdasif.com. So imagine yourself in your own minds right now, your own domain. And I'd be happy to do the same demonstration for you if you want to check your own domain. I was a third party, and Gmail was also a third party. This is MD Asif. This is the vulnerable, the malicious actor, sending to another, hopefully innocent actor. So it's a third party to third party using your name. You have no visibility of that today. Email authentication allows you, and I'm not going to talk about the product that we own. I'm just going to talk to you about the core technology here. You will now be able to see how big the problem is, so how many such emails are going. I'm also pleased to share with you, in India itself, there are 150 customers who are using this service. And interestingly, I won't take names because I'm going to give you a statistic right now. Over 75% of all volume that we have seen in India, large brand names, large financial institutions, is spoofed volume. Their genuine email is only 25% of the email being sent out in their name. You can actually also see who is sending it, which means the fact that I used a server, whether it was a Raspberry Pi or another server, you can also see what server sent it. Problem statement, anyone can spoof your email. And that's the problem we're trying to solve. And the problem has existed actually since 1982. So it's a 36-year-old problem. I was 4 years at that time. So it's almost as old as I am. The problem is that SMTP protocol did not have any authentication mechanism built in it. Some of you might be thinking, but I've got a fantastic Cisco Iron Port email security gateway in place. But visualize it, you've only just protected your own domain, your own mailbox. The third party to third party control is not there at all. Email auth in plain English. Let's say you send 100 emails from your domain every day, which was the top of the iceberg. But we collect information from Gmail, Microsoft, Yahoo. We collect information from G Suite, O365, Exchange servers of the world. And they are telling us that I received 1,000 emails in the name of mdasif.com today. Have I been able to explain this? Genuinely, only 100 emails were sent, but the world is telling me that 1,000 emails were received in the name of MD Asif. Question is, how do you get to know? We use a combination of protocols, which is SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, and we leverage those protocols to essentially collect this information and showcase, and eventually block this. We can't stop hackers from actually sending those emails. You can't control anybody, right? I could sit in Iran or Pakistan or Japan and send emails in your name, or Vietnam. That's what's happening today. But you can finally stop them from being delivered. This is the core of the email authentication solution. Here is the gentleman who used to be with HMRC, Edward Tucker. And after he left HMRC, in fact, one of the interesting things he did was he convinced the UK government to pass a mandate. Not sure if you can see this, but November 2016, a mandate was passed by the UK government making email authentication mandatory. 11 months later, the US government did the exact same thing, but with bigger teeth. What they did was essentially the Department of Homeland Security, which is essentially the equivalent of our Home Ministry, then passed a mandate saying that every single government department has to necessarily implement email authentication. Anybody here from the banking sector? Nobody? Anybody from the larger BFSI sector? Nobody? Yeah? Also pleased to share with you that in December of 2017, the RBI passed a mandate as well. As we speak right now, I am working personally with 7 governments to essentially make a mandate, because until it comes out in a big way, until domains start protecting themselves, you cannot stop spoofing, you cannot stop phishing attacks. I'm going to skip all this. For those of you, how many of us are technical over here? Fair amount, so I'll go into the technology of this. When I sent the email at that point, this was me. We sent the email to Gmail. At the point when Gmail received the email, there was a DNS SMTP handshake that happened. At that time, the sending organization server is supposed to respond back on the DMARC protocol. Because MD Asif had no DMARC in place, it essentially said, I can't find any DMARC, and it accepted the sender as the original sender and delivered it to the inbox. Had there been a policy, there are policies, one policy is quarantine, the other one is reject. We could have specified, that domain could have specified that I want it either to be quarantined or rejected, and it would have been honored. Okay. Right, let's come to humans. Any questions for me on this? I will be around for about another hour after this, so please feel free to come to me if you have any questions. Okay, realistic situation. You have a boxing ring and you have technology on one hand. Today the paradigm is it's humans versus technology, because humans are not very bright when it comes to technology. And what happens is, after all these layers have been breached, the attack has now arrived to the human layer. Today, humans are the weakest link in cybersecurity. The methodology that I'm going to share with you right now is, again, platform and product independent, can show you how you can make and alter the psychology of the employees in your organizations. Anybody here who's got more than 10,000 employees in their company? You do? Brilliant. Problem statement for you, ma'am, is that how do you train 10,000 people? You can't take them into classrooms. You can...
Virtually.
Correct. So even physically, how long would it take you to train 10,000 people who are spread across?
Train the trainers.
Brilliant. I said even if you had an army of 50 trainers, could you still train those 10,000 people enough?
No, people have to bring the discipline in them to imbibe the training.
Fabulous. I will quote you the problem statement here, which is, there are over 20,000 types of attack scenarios. Either you can, I don't know, are you working with a bank? Sorry, not a bank, but
I would be the Accenture.
Accenture, okay. So the issue here is that in Accenture also, there are 20,000 types of attack scenarios. Either your team of 10,000 can run Accenture, or they can do cybersecurity training. You pay them to do the first, right? The issue is, it's impossible to train for all. The question is, what is the solution?
People should be able to imbibe the knowledge. People should be able to imbibe the knowledge and be able to train others in their surrounding, be able to apply it to everyday acts, and be respondent to the training dictum of the organization.
Fair enough. I will present a situation to you which is happening rampantly right now. And after my question, I'd want a show of hands of who believes the statement was true. So for example, if I sent an email, just like I did right now, if for example, I sent an email from hr@domain.com to 10,000 people, and I said, and we're in December right now, and I said, hi, first name, comma, congratulations, 2 new holidays added to the holiday calendar in December. Followed by, please click here to see the updated holiday calendar. Team HR, your disclaimer and everything looks very real.
People should stick to their practice. They should know that holiday calendars never come in a clickable email format.
Let's say that there was an attachment in the email. So the new holiday calendar either came in an attachment or came with a click here. Because the sender was genuinely hr@domain.com, which I demonstrated to you earlier. Yeah? How many here think that those 10,000 people, how many out of those 10,000, what percentage of people will click that email?
They will click the email because 90% will click the email because it comes from a domain name that they trust.
Absolutely. So I showed you earlier the problem statement was I can send an email from a domain they trust. The issue is actually it's not 90%, it's 110%. Reason being because some people will click it 2 or 3 times because the attachment didn't open or whatever, right? So we'll see massive amount of traffic. I will also now showcase another scenario to you. This is a real situation, UK bank that we worked with, this was in the month of March 2018. So real use case study. This was a publicly listed bank, over 20,000 employees. What we did was essentially, so we played a game with them. We played a game where we said, because attacks can happen anywhere, right? It's not necessarily email. We call this a multi-barrel or a double-barrel attack, right? So the first barrel was we sent an email spoofing the CFO, and we sent an email to 8 of his reportees. So there are 8 business divisions. We sent an email to 8 of those guys, and what we also did was in that email it said, hi first name, and it said, the quarterly report, have it ready, I'll ask for it in 2 hours, cheers, initials of the CFO. This is the style in which the CFO used to write. No malware, no links to click, nothing. 2 hours later. So 2 hours hadn't passed. Just 10, 15 minutes before 2 hours had finished, we spoofed a phone call. Who here has seen a spoofed phone call as well for yourself?
That is very common. You can do it. That's been going on for ages.
Correct. So we actually spoofed the phone number of the landline of the CFO, and we called up each one of these people. Now what we did was we also created a sort of a scenario there, where in the room from which the call was being made was essentially about 3 kilometers away. So our office in London is 3 kilometers away from this bank, right in the heart of the city. And we basically got somebody to speak in the background saying, what the hell is wrong with you guys? The email is not working. So the word email was embedded about 5 or 6 times in a very angry tone. In the front line, the woman who called up, she said, also in a very angry tone, she said, is the report ready? So she's very angry and she's basically, because the boss, so we're mimicking a situation where the boss is yelling at the IT department. And she says, boss is yelling at the IT guys as well. Nobody can make anything work. His email is also down. Is the report ready or not? Without letting them or allowing them to answer the question, she immediately said, send the report right now to bossfirstname.bosslastname78@gmail.com. Bang. All 8 people were called. You know, for those of you who haven't seen a real spoofing, I'll show you. I have a subject to the internet working and behaving itself. If you give me any phone number here, if 2 of you know each other, is Rafida here? There is Rafida. Okay, who here knows Rafida very well? Give me your number. I will call you from Rafida's phone number. Rafida, do I have your permission? Thank you. Okay, so who claims to know Rafida very well? Give me, and who has...
You can use my number, Ankush.
Okay, no, you're my man. It could be a setup. Not allowed. Independent. Tapas. Okay, Tapas, give me your number. 98303. 98302. 85505. Okay. Subject to the internet behaving itself, I shall connect to our server and see. Tapas, come here. I hope Rafida's name is written with respect on your phone. Next thing you know, he's got some weird name for Rafida on his phone. Here we go. So Rafida calling him. Okay? I can equally well change the tonality of, I can control that from the server. Okay. So we did this. Now I want you to take a guess and tell me what percentage of those 8 people do you think actually sent the email to that Gmail address? Bear in mind, before I do this, the quarterly report for the bank is important because it's a publicly listed bank. I'm a decent guy, otherwise there was a lot of money we could have made that day. If the quarterly report looks good, chances are the stock will go higher. Insider information situation, if the quarterly report is going to look bad, if the outlook is bad, then the stock will tank. What is the opportunity? I can either buy it or I can short it. Make sense? Big numbers involved. I'm a VC, I have access to hedge funds. I could have very easily called up one of my mates and said, okay, $20 million, put it. Obviously I didn't. Take a guess, how many of those 8 people actually sent that report? 0%. 100%, all 8 of them sent it. The boss is shouting in the background, his email is not working. You see, we played with the mind of those 8 people and they actually sent it. Now the good news was that the Gmail address was actually created. We got the CFO to create it because even we were not allowed to see the report. So it was a double-barrel attack. The first attack happened on email, no malware. Your email security gateways, Gmail, O365, Zimbra, Lotus, nobody can pick it up. It's not possible. And the second attack was on the phone, which was essentially a social engineering attack, right? So the only way to solve this is to basically alter their psychology. You need to enter their brain. Question is, how do you enter their brain? In order to understand how you can enter their brain, you have to understand what aspects of psychology hackers play on. There are 7 aspects. For reasons of IP, I'm only showing you 4: urgency, fear, greed, and obedience. The other ones, I have not written them, but they are apathy, hubris, and ignorance. Between these 7 aspects, you have about 99.5, nothing in security is 100%, 99.5% of all the 20,000 plus attacks that we studied had one or more of these aspects being leveraged. We train, so let's not say we train, you need to train your employees to be suspicious by nature. Question is how? I'll share that with you. We get, in the methodology, what we do is we get the CEO to write an email, genuine email this time, saying humans are the weakest link, set the stage. 90% of attacks happen at the human layer. At my company, I don't want us to be part of that number, the company that got breached because of the human layer. Second thing the CEO says, I have authorized the CISO or the CIO to carry out 14 attacks per person per year. It's a game that the CIO or the CISO is going to play with you. You and I will not know when it is a real attack and when it is a game being played by the CIO or the CISO. And this attack can happen on email, WhatsApp, Facebook, phone, office, home, at a restaurant, anytime, absolutely anywhere. You know what happens when you do this? What the CEO has done is basically created full ambiguity. Now your employees, all 10,000, will not know when it is a real attack or when it is a game being played by the CIO's office. The CEO then goes on to say, what are we to do about it? He says, there are 3 options actually here, which is report it, get compromised, third, do nothing. You know, the problem with most of these phishing simulations and activities that have been done, particularly in this country, I've seen what happens is if somebody hasn't clicked, fantastic, you did not get caught. You are making a massive mistake. They should have reported it. I'll show you a picture which will basically explain to you what you've done at your organization. What you've done essentially is, you're in a marathon, you're running, your team is behind you, your family is behind you. What should you do when you see this gaping hole in the road? Tell me, your immediate reaction. No, it's not just to try and avoid it, it's also to shout out to everybody and say, look, make sure you don't fall into the ditch, correct? You say stop to everybody. Make sense? This is what we're doing. First, we're creating ambiguity, and second, we're saying report it or get compromised. Do nothing is not an option. Now, what we've done essentially, ideally what should happen is there should be reporting, and reporting should be one click. I'll demonstrate something to you. Which will hopefully, so let me try and see if I can showcase. Okay, the problem is that on this screen, when I look there, I can't see much, but I'll try my best. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this was for somebody called Mr. Demo Attack for Mr. Pradeep, a gentleman that I met. So what I've done is I've basically sent, in fact, let me make a real one, if I can see everything. So I'll do a real attack. I'll send an attack to myself, for example, and what I'll also do is I will BCC two other users. I'll BCC user 1, and I will also BCC another user. The reason why I'm doing BCC is because when a typical attack happens, it's not just sent to one person, it's actually sent to multiple other people in my company. And what I will do here is I will write google.com, but I will essentially put a false link, a malicious link in there. Embed it, okay, and I'll say demo attack INFOCOM. Yeah. I'll send this attack. Do a quick refresh. Right, demo attack for INFOCOM is visible to us now. Okay. This is the reporting button that is natively integrated in O365, in G Suite, Zimbra, Outlook. What I'm doing now is, what did the CEO tell me to do when you spot something malicious? How do I know this is possibly malicious? Because I'm writing Google, but I can see some weird URL there. So one click for the user, and I'm reporting this as a phishing email, or I can report it as a spam email, or whatever I think. What happens now is that the artificial intelligence kicks in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show this to you manually, but at this point, artificial intelligence kicks in, sees who reported it. So who was the person who reported this? And what is their behavior? When we attacked them the 14 times, what did they do? We sent it, did they click it, did they get compromised, did they report it? What is their knowledge? We collect this about all 10,000 people, and we then take action. So what is the action? Ideally, so the artificial intelligence will now say, absolutely right, I've analyzed the headers, I can pass this information into a sandbox, the results of that are shared back with the AI, and at that time, it then goes and hunts to see who else may have received the same attack. There we go, lo and behold, one is sitting in the sent items, one is in the inbox, and user 1 and user 2 were attacked as well. What the AI does at this point is automatically selects everybody and deletes it. All of this action is happening in under 10 seconds. Why 10 seconds? Time to remediate is important because in the time that somebody reported, the AI engine has gone in and quarantined or deleted that attack from all other users. So that when I'm running in the marathon, everybody else behind me is protected. Why? Because I was aware. I become the human firewall of the organization. Lo and behold, that email is now gone. To maintain the integrity of email, what in its place has been planted here now is it says demo attack INFOCOM, and the administrator deleted your email. Let's say, for example, at this point, I say, no, Mr. Administrator, you've done it wrong. Please reinstate the email. I come back here. Reinstate requested. This was the reinstatement request that came in from that user. Accept. I come back and the email is back. Have I been able to showcase? So there is, Gartner came up with a word called security, orchestration, automation, remediation. I'm pleased to share with you what the platform does essentially, or what you need to do. Forget the platform, but what you need to do is automate the process so that all 10,000 people are receiving individual attacks in big numbers, so at least 14, because we're going to use the aspect of muscle memory to train them. I'll use a very quick example. When a 2-year-old sees an electric socket vis-a-vis when an adult sees an electric socket, do we ever poke our finger into the electric socket, yes or no? We never do. You know what a 2-year-old does? Instantly puts his finger in there. What do? Don't do it, baby, right? We put some measure of pain to, so that the human, that little 1-year-old child can associate pain with the electric socket. Make sense? Second, when you learned how to drive, you remember releasing the clutch was the art. It wasn't the steering wheel. But today when you drive, do you even think about the clutch anymore? Your mind automatically does it, right? From a situation where the muscle memory, sorry? Well, I enjoy racing as well, so, in racing cars, automatics don't work very well, so, but I agree. But even, what I'm saying is that you don't think about driving even today, right? You don't need to consciously think about driving. It's second nature to you. So, what the point I'm trying to make here is that can we train our people such that pressing that report button itself becomes second nature? And if they were to press on something, even remotely think about it, can we give them a sort of an attack, some sort of pain which is not going to really hurt them, but invoke some degree. So here I've got an example of an attack, which is, we use this primarily when the Amazon, the sale happened in India. All our Indian customers, and no bias to females, but you know that women are more active online shopping prospects. But believe it or not, I have friends in the e-commerce industry, and they tell me very actively that women are very, very ardent shoppers, particularly when sales are on. What we did here was we said that such and such watch was bought, and we sent an email out as a simulation. The moment they click on that, what it does is it says, oops, you've been phished. So this is like a small attack, a simulation. And the screen automatically in X seconds, 10, 15 seconds, automatically goes into the learning, into the training. And what you should ideally be tracking is what is happening. And for that we have, I'm sharing the methodology here because I'm not selling the product, but I'm sharing the methodology of, tracking who sent, how many opened it. Red is bad actions, green is good actions. So did people report? What percentage of people actually trained? How many of them passed the quiz, etc. I will end this presentation with one last slide, which is the difference between school and life. Currently what you're doing, a lot of the people are doing is they're basically doing trainings only. And training is like sending your child to school, but it doesn't guarantee success. In school, you're taught a lesson and then given a test. This is what we're operating on today. We train them and then we test them. Our philosophies in life, you're given a test that teaches you a lesson. So, the life approach is probably a better approach where you're putting them in real simulated situations where nothing gets hurt, but you have the opportunity to train them because it creates what we call a unique teachable moment. When somebody has fallen, they actually see that as an opportunity to learn, and that sort of embeds in their mind. Any questions for me at this stage on the methodology or on email or on humans? Nothing? Fabulous. It actually did start with Socrates in the correct spelling, C-R-A-T-E-S, but then we said it was a force fit. So we then moved to the SCC because we wanted to capture click and compromise. Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate your patience.